those of you who've been following some of my predictions for the years ahead may remember back some time ago, over a year before this happened, back in 2016, I made a prediction for 2017 time that there would be a discovery of a new chamber in the pyramids. Now, I said under the pyramids, but actually there's been a new chamber found within the Pyramids of Giza. Now, it's made the news, but you know, why was I seeing that? And I'm wondering if my intuition can also tell us a little bit more about why would I see it and what does it mean? You know, what are we going to discover there? So, so this is perhaps you know, it's coming from my intuitive gut feelings rather than actual evidence. So forgive me, but people have done this before, because Edgar Cayce, you may know about, wrote a whole series of things about that there would be a discovery within the Great Pyramid, what he called the Chamber of Records. He also believed it laid underneath the pyramid, somewhere between the feet of the Sphinx, people spoke about as being the entrance of the old chambers of the Chamber of Records within the pyramid. He also, interestingly, in his visions, saw that the Nile at one point ran not to the Mediterranean as it does now, but actually went right across the Sahara and emptied into the Atlantic. And people used to think that was absolute nonsense idea. But in actual fact, space satellite views of the Sahara suggest that a river, a long time ago, may have run across the Sahara. He actually said the Sahara was very fertile because of the course of the Nile that at that time emptied into the Atlantic Ocean. So, you know, there were some quite interesting things that Cayce came up with, and maybe I was connecting into something similar to what he was talking about. Now, this pyramid is the Cheops pyramid, the big one, and above the King's Chamber, they scanned it, and they were looking for what they call muons, which are like particles that pass through the pyramid from the sun, and then as these pass through, you can determine, you know, what's solid rock and what's not. And they found an anomaly. They found something that's above the King's Chamber in there. Now, I was interested also in the fact that the pyramids were supposed to have been built about, well, they don't know when they were built, but their assumption is that it's about 5,000 years ago that they built the pyramids. Now, what struck me also was that at a similar time there was another temple being built in India of about 5,000 years ago. And it's a hard to pronounce name, but it's the Padmanabhaswamy temple, okay? I've written it down. Padmanabhaswamy temple, okay? Now, this one in India is fascinating because it's the same age as the Temple of Pyramid, and historians say that at that same time, they believe that Solomon traded with India at that time, at that place where the Indian temple was built. Now, so there's all connections over the world. But beneath the Indian temple, I'm not going to keep pronouncing the name because I can't do it, as you can see, it's such a difficult word. But beneath the Indian temple, they found a number of chambers just recently, same time coincidentally as we're finding the chambers in the Great Pyramid. And similar legends are around the Padmanabhaswamy temple, because they're saying there that they found beneath it huge treasures already. There's a whole number of chambers. They named them originally A, B, C, D, E and F, and I think there's 3 more. There's a whole series of chambers. And they found vast amounts of money under there, vast amounts of gold that date back right through the history of mankind. You know, right back, they've got Napoleonic coins, but right the way back to ancient times. And you know, gold is the richest temple in the world ever to be found. Billions and billions of dollars worth of money already been uncovered. And in there, there's a door that's locked. They went through a series of doors. First a wooden door, and it was a real Indiana Jones stuff, this. And they finally got to the final door, which is sealed. which was an iron door with serpents on it. Now, that door they wanted to open, but the legend has it that that door was sealed with a mantra. Now, a mantra is like a chant, and only someone that knows the mantra can open the door. It sounds like Aladdin, doesn't it? But this is how the story goes. Now, they employed a locksmith or something or other to try to get the doors open or other, but then they were stopped. There was an injunction against doing it. So basically the doors haven't been opened, and they say only someone that can pronounce the mantra perfectly will allow the door to open, because if the doors are opened wrongly, just like the Pyramids of Giza, a curse will be released upon the world if it's opened at the wrong time. So the greatest of treasures is in there, you know, and my mind speculates what could be those treasures. Are we talking this time about gold and silver and all the rest of it, or are we talking about maybe even greater treasure? You know, if you watch Indiana Jones, things would spring to mind, such as the chalice maybe, or the Ark of the Covenant or something. But my interest in India has been really stimulated by the fact that I've consulted things like the Nadi leaves that go back to similar times when mankind allegedly could foresee the future of the world. And my own future, as I've described in my book Messages from the Universe, and the new one, Mystic Journey to India, and the film, on there I've talked about the Nadi leaves, how they told 5,000 years ago, or more, 10,000 it could be, but at least 5,000 years ago, that my destiny was written on these leaves. Now, could it be that the Indian temple, that the great secret of that temple, the great treasure there, is nothing material? Remember, Indian people aren't materialistic. The great spiritual people of India aren't materialists, are they? They don't say the world's troubles can be saved by gold. But they do say that the world's troubles can be saved by knowledge, and maybe the Padmanabhaswamy temple, if I'm saying it right, sorry to Indian people if I get it wrong, but maybe that when they do unlock that, if the right man comes along with the right mantra and the doors swing open, that what we might find there is another hall of records. Similar, I feel, perhaps to the Nadi leaves that I consulted, but this time maybe with the secrets of the world there. So another thought also comes to mind. The Indians believe that door can't be opened without a special mantra, a forgotten mantra, that maybe what we call the Siddha yogis may already still have knowledge of through their oral tradition. Right? Now, these are really interesting, secretive sort of guys that are supposed to live for thousands of years, supposed to be the custodians of the great Santandana knowledge of India. And so it sounds mind-boggling, doesn't it? But I've met some, like I've said, you might have seen in my film Mystic Journey to India, which is hopefully coming out soon. I met some of these people, amazing people. And they know all about you, for example. They can tell you all about your life and your future. Anyway, could a mantra open the Indian temple? Now, I want to just bring that to mind with the idea of the Great Pyramid of Giza as well, because there's been some theories in the past that the Pyramid of Giza could have something to do with sound. It could be a sort of kind of sounding chamber, right? And they did a number of interesting experiments. I mean, I don't remember. Colin Wilson wrote about this in his book. I read it recently, called Atlantis and the Neanderthals, and the Kingdom of the Neanderthals. I knew it was something a bit longer, but he wrote about it in that book. And he talked about some sound technicians that had gone in there. And they made some resonance in there, and the sound was vibrating the sound and making Egyptian hieroglyphs appear in the sand. Now, that's quite a tall claim, but could it be that maybe both these temples, the one in India and the one in Egypt, both have something connected with sound to it? When I went to visit Mahabaripura in India, they said that the blocks had been put in place by the power of mantra, because I was talking to the people, they, oh yes, it was all, how did they get that up there, you know, oh, it's all done by the power of mantra. And this was the same for so many of the temples in India. The people I asked about it, and the temple priests and so on, would all describe that the temple was put together with mantras, sound, right? And Edgar Cayce and others also theorised that maybe that the Egyptian pyramids were constructed even by sound, right? So, yeah, I don't know the answer to these things, but I find it interesting that there's this connection with sound between the two temples. Could there be something to do with sound that will somehow unlock the records? Because I think the great treasures that both may hold may be the treasures that we need now. Now, the Padmanabhaswamy temple, if I've pronounced it right, but I've got it written, I haven't got it heard. That temple is said to have been built at the start of what we call the Kali Yuga era. That is the time in Indian astrology when the Dark Age begins. And we are now supposedly coming gradually out of the Kali Yuga. We're coming into the Dwanapara Yuga, which is this next Yuga. And from that point, times will become much more we're moving towards a more golden age. So it doesn't look like it from the politics we got and things and the wars and so forth. But we have perhaps in those two temples some fascinating key to the future. And you know, this is what my intuition is telling me. You know, I predicted I predicted quite clearly that the chamber would be found before there was anything in the news or any research being done or anything being talked about this. It came to me in my meditations, and now I want to say that my meditations now really tell me that I feel that there's something about sound going to be connected with this. Now maybe this is going to be revealed, maybe something's going to be discovered about this, but you know, I'm just putting it out there really at this stage. I don't know any more than that, but there's something about sound will connect all this together. Is the future set, or can we change it? In my new book, I take a mystical journey to India to do magical remedies that will change my personal destiny. I open a 5,000-year-old secret oracle that tells about what will happen in the future. I meet strange Siddha yogis with miraculous powers who show me how to eradicate the karma that drives events. What I discover changes everything. We can all change our destiny, and maybe together we can change the future of the world as well. Start making that change. My new book, Mystic Journey to India, that has now been made into a major international documentary series, is now available on Amazon.